live streaming on. Football, bloody hell. Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to the Cymru and Byth podcast. Welcome to your North Macedonia 1, Wales 1 post-match reaction, and very mixed feelings because, about 15 minutes ago, it was very loud in here, but before that, there was a bit of frustration, but then also a bit of optimism. I suppose the overriding thing is if you're 1-0 down and there's injury time is up, then you should probably be happy that you got away with a point. It was a tricky tie, but let's talk about it. I am delighted, as always, to be joined by Harry. How are you, mate?
Yeah, doing well, mate. No, first time we've done a raw one, isn't it? You know, after a game, so different. But yeah, excited to sort of chat through what we can recall from what was very eventful, very late on.
Yeah, it was a proper end to end in the second half, particularly. And one of the things I was thinking, actually, I missed the first sort of 15 minutes of the game because I was at my son's football. And one of the things I noticed straight away was how open the game was. And I couldn't help but think back to Robert Page's reign. And even before that as well, Coleman and people, going away to these really tricky opponents. We'd never have been so open, so open. And I didn't mind it because I felt like whilst it was like that, we were pretty comfortable defensively. Only, Darlow makes that one really good save in the second half. But apart from that, they didn't really cause us a lot of issues in that very final third. But I thought the defensive shape, I'm absolutely convinced that we're better when Ben Davies is in the middle. We just look more organised and structured, and everything seems to move in tandem. Whereas when he's on the left, we just seem a little bit disjointed. That straight line becomes a bit of an S, and I don't know, there's something about it. But I thought the middle part of the middle third, I thought Wales were very good, winning the ball back, using the ball. The final pass let us down a little bit, and we'll get into it a bit more. But what did you make of my kind of comparison, I guess, to Page and Coleman and the kind of structure away from home?
I'd say there were similarities. The only difference for me that stands out is just the possession, mate. We're still dominating games. Like I said yesterday, I think it was, and I'd say I'd be shocked if we actually dominated the game in maybe a pessimistic way. I predicted a 50-50 split, and mate, fair play. We fucking had 72% over the two halves. We did outplay them. We and I know that doesn't necessarily translate to goals, unfortunately. Keeping the ball doesn't mean you're going to score goals. It just means the other team can't score. But at the same time, that was the biggest thing that shocked me. And I doubt a Page side or a Coleman side would have went to North Macedonia and outplayed and outclassed a Macedonian side like we did. They sat in, mate. They didn't want to press us really because they tried a few bits, but we were just too clever. We would do a few triangles and we'd be out the other side. And fair play to Ashia. I was critical on the last game. No slip-ups at all. And I know we'll get into the final slip-up, which cost us the goal, which obviously wasn't him. But yeah, I thought he was excellent. He was effective. Again, he didn't do too much. He only touched the ball 32 times. Passing percentage was 86%. Fine. He had a nice little shot. A couple of tackles. Nothing crazy, but no, I honestly can't really fault much other than, like you said, when it got to just the final execution, mate. That's what we're lacking, aren't we? We're just lacking that cutting edge up front on the wings. And I know it came off maybe on Saturday with the the free kicks and the corners and whatever that end up going in. But we needed a bit more tonight and we didn't have it. Dan James was quiet, I thought. Maybe could have had a pen on another day, but he probably bought it. He has touched him. It's one of them where he has touched him. It's just it depends how soft he thinks he's gone down. But like I said, like you said, sorry mate, defense I thought was excellent. I really like the three at the back, or whatever you want to call it, a five with Nico and Sorba. We said that could be a thing, couldn't we? We said Connor might get a hook, and it did kind of happen. We didn't expect Mepham to come in, which I'm okay with, mate. I thought he did well, yeah. I've never been a hater of Mepham. It's just he weren't really playing a couple of months ago, and now he has been. And fair play to Bellamy, sorry, to put him in there. But I agree on the Ben Davies stuff. I thought Jordan James was excellent. I really do. he had everything that you wanted from an 8. He was taking shots. He was making those number 8 runs in between the sort of right back and centre half, like really stretching them. Him and Sorba work really well together. I don't know whether it's a French thing now that they both play in France, mate, but they got a really good understanding over there. And then Broadhead was okay. I thought he huffed and puffed. I don't think he offered much more than a Cullen would, or even a Brooks. We could maybe get onto that. Thought Dan James was quiet, and then Brennan up front. Yeah, he did struggle again. I don't think he was as bad because he moved over to the left or right, wasn't it? And then he had a couple of chances. One cleared off the line. We should have beat them. I know it's easy to say, and I'm blabbing on now. We should have beat them. We had 3 big chances. They had 1, and it comes down to obviously Joe Allen's mistake, which is just, it's gutting. We said it before, didn't we, Si? Like you can't expect I don't care how good he is or how much pedigree he's got. The guy doesn't play enough football, mate. You can't throw him in with 7 minutes to go, can you? And expect him to I know the trust should be there. Like
the pace of that game as well, mate.
Yeah,
like
how are you supposed to get into that? How are you supposed to get into it? You're not giving him a chance. And I think it was risky business doing it that late. You said it. You said if it was 20 minutes to go, maybe. You're giving him 10, 15 to get into it, and then you got the last 5 or 10 stoppage time, whatever, to see the game out. In a weird way, you'd rather him come on earlier, wouldn't you? I know it's easy to say in hindsight. But
because the game was so open, mate, I wouldn't that would have made sense to me. Bring Sheenan off and bringing Joe Allen, and then try and get control of the game a little bit, so you don't get hit on the break with 5 minutes to go or 10 minutes to go, because it was quite an open game. So that would have made sense to me. But Sheenan was very good. He was tidy, and him and Jordan James had a good little understanding going. So I just didn't really understand putting Joe Allen on for that last 8 minutes, because it was such a quick game. If the game was like Kazakhstan on Saturday, where it was very slow and there was no pressing, and it was just like, that would be fine for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because he hasn't got to find the pace of the game. But Joe Allen, as in terms of Welsh football, he's an absolute legend, absolute quality servant to Welsh football and what he's done and what he's been a part of. But you could see it was a struggle. He came on with 8 minutes to go, and he pretty much, up to the goal, just gave away a couple of free kicks, and then the pass back, which leads to the goal. So unfortunately, I think you got to say it's probably a mistake bringing him on, and it's easy with hindsight to say that, but I felt it when he came on. I thought, I don't know about that, just because of the pace of the game. I felt it was a risk. But the one thing I thought we did do in the second half, mate, is I thought Wales were a better team by far, but I thought we just tried to force it a little bit in that final third. And one thing which I thought we were very good at on Saturday was we were patient, and we knocked it about little triangles and then worked good positions in the wide areas, which actually just before the goal tonight, Jordan James nearly scored, where we got down a right and we pull it back again to that sort of 6-yard box penalty spot area, and it just gets blocked. But we didn't work those positions as much and as well as we had done on Saturday. And I thought what happens then is you end up like Sorba put a couple of crosses in from like 30 yards out on the left wing, and you just haven't got the same positioning, and the runners coming onto it to meet the ball, and then it just felt a bit forced, which was very unusual, because in all the games we've played under Bellamy, there has been that element of patience, and no, we're gonna we'll wait to create the like line breaking run rather than trying to find like a pass through the eye of a needle, which might come off, but if it doesn't, you're out of position, sort of thing. Kiefer Moore, I really think he should have started. I don't know how fit he is. That might have been an issue, but I was disappointed. So the main issues which I felt needed to be addressed from Saturday was probably Connor Roberts, Cullen, and moving Brennan out wide. Yeah. So I thought he addressed all of them, except the Brennan one starts in the middle, but he kind of played off the left second half, and he looked way more dangerous and more comfortable. Like you say, Daniel James wasn't quite at it. Maybe Kiefer Moore hasn't got a full game in him, but it was a bit odd. Like, I probably would have preferred to see Harris up front if Moore wasn't fit to play a game. But it was weird, because I don't know what you think about this, but I think he's almost got a home team in terms of a formation, we know that, but I think he's almost got like home players and away players as well, and then a few which play both. Because if you notice today, no Cullen at all.
No, I know it's weird, isn't
it? No Mark Harris.
Yep.
Whereas, at home they all play. And Broadhead, I was all right with that. I think he kind of warrants his position in the team to a certain degree. I wasn't sure about him over Brooks, though, because I thought Brooks was really dangerous and obviously gets the goal at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Would have liked to have probably seen, with what we had to pick from, that was probably the only sort of contentious issue for me in the starting lineup. I could understand with Kiefer Moore, maybe he's not fit, so okay.
Yeah.
David Brooks in front of Jordan James and Sheenan was probably the way I would have gone.
Completely agree with you, mate. Yeah, that's the only contentious one for me. I don't think there's much in it because I think Brooks was amazing Saturday. I think he could have done with another 15 minutes so to maybe prove to us that he probably gets a goal or something. But yeah, that's the only one, and that's no knock on Broadhead. He did okay. I'm just surprised he just comes in, and starts. And yeah, you're right. It does seem like we have home players and away players at this point, doesn't it? More so than ever before. That Sorba's 2 games in a row now. He started. Maybe he's broke the curse,
broke the record.
But we said it, didn't we, mate? You can't not start him. He was too influential. I'd be fuming if I weren't playing there. And fair play to he played them the whole game as well, which I'm actually really not shocked at. I think he deserved it. I thought he might come off. DJ was quiet, wasn't he? DJ was really quiet, and I thought that made sense bringing him off. I thought he got that one right. I did. Got the Broadhead one. Broadhead was quiet. I mean, we haven't mentioned him yet, but Nico again was just unbelievable. I know he wasn't
he's just unreal.
The things he does, you probably have to just watch him all game to kind of know it. But he wins every. There was a period where defensively he was a bit suspect a couple of months ago, maybe even a year ago. Let's call it right, club and country. But recently, mate, he's got his act together right, and his tackling is unbelievable. He's always been able to do it. But he went into a spell where I only know this because obviously I play Story right, and I have his card, so I know how good he is on duels, right? And there was a time where, you just play him and he ain't going to win many. He would go for him, but he would just be second best all the time. 6 tackles tonight. 6. That's massive for a fullback. Honestly, he's at 89% accurate passes. I know, I'm not just banging on about stats now. It's all about the eye test ultimately, but he's just unbelievable, mate. I'm serious. I think he's absolutely outstanding.
Well, I said on Saturday, mate, I felt like Nico and Jordan James were levels above anyone else on the pitch. And I kind of felt like that today as well. There was just, and I think, look, when you're talking about that level, I think Brennan Johnson, week to week for Spurs, is probably at that level as well.
Could do it.
But he just hasn't been able to produce that for Wales yet.
Yeah.
I think he will. I think there's probably a bit of in his own head as well, because he knows he hasn't got the same form for the national team that he gets for his club. It'll come. I've got no doubt about that. But I just wanted to put this comment up from A-Tech a minute.
Yeah.
He said, that's the difference between Bellamy taking charge. We played till the final whistle. Pure passion, attitude as a manager. Wouldn't expect anything else from him. Absolute legend. And I think that's important to say. When you concede a goal that late, it is so difficult to pick yourself back up because you've got no time left. They obviously spent a lot of time celebrating. And I think, but you see it so often. One goes in the 90th minute and then another one 94th minute because teams get nervy, they switch off. So you've got to give Wales credit for that because psychologically it is difficult to come back from a late goal. So to get a point out of that, because a loss would have been not disastrous. It's second game in the group stage, but it would have made it very difficult to win the group. Liechtenstein look like they're going to be, bottom. They've lost. They were losing to Kazakhstan 2-0 last time I looked. I don't know what it finished, but So you've got to go and beat them twice. You need to beat North Macedonia at home. You need to beat Kazakhstan away, which will be another tricky one, mind, especially because they've picked up 3 points today. So they will be thinking, they'll be looking at the games and thinking Wales, North Macedonia, that's where we can get some points, whether it's a point or 3. So we have to make sure that we do the job now at home, because I think one thing you can say is, yes, North Macedonia have some good players, but equally they have not got the pace to deal with Wales. And at home, in the system we play and the pace that we play at, you could see them struggling a little bit with it.
Yeah.
The other thing, mate, just very quickly, go on. I was just going to add to that is a few people have said like they were a bit confused with Daniel James coming off for Kiefer Moore. I thought Daniel James was he was a threat, but it's the same thing with him all the time. He's a real threat. He's so quick. He's really dangerous. He's obviously in good form. His final ball lets him down time and time again. So the first thing I saw tonight, I tuned in, was I turned it on, and we had, like, I think it was a corner, and it kind of all broke down, and then we won the ball back. So Brennan was kind of running in behind, and Daniel James had the ball, and he was free on the right, and he just had to sort of curl a ball in behind the defence, and it was tapping, and he kind of like pulled it behind and hit the first man, and it was like,
I remember it.
That almost like encapsulates the issue with him.
Yeah,
he does everything
that's
well.
Why he's not at United, mate.
Ball.
No, not saying
that's where they
like the old United. Not the now United. You know?
Yeah, but you know, I know what you mean. Like that's why he's not at the level above where he is. I guess is because it's that final ball, and it is an issue. I understand why people were a bit like, "Oh, why are you taking him off?" But you know, Kiefer Moore had to come on.
Yeah,
I still think Kiefer Moore should have started. Harry Wilson's the big miss, isn't he? Yeah, because he's the one creates and scores, and
he just does that. He links everything, doesn't he? From defense to midfield, and we are missing him. But then he's another headache. Not to say he ain't gonna walk back in. He will if he's fit. But yeah, the goal at the end, like that 32 pass sequence where we mentioned before we were live, right when Sorba probably should have scored after the Jordan James's run there is absolutely world class. By the way, like this, it's a 2-on-2 on the right with Nico and I think it's Dan James, and he's sort of in the box and he's looked one way, looked the other, and gone, I'm going to just slip in behind here. And obviously the defender couldn't react quick enough, and he's in, pulls it, and obviously Sorba's. I said to you, didn't I? Like his back, it looked like it bounced up really high, and it was too quick for him to react. And I haven't seen the other angle, so I'd like to see it again to see if
I didn't see it in real time.
Angle. Okay, yeah.
So I've only seen like the replays and the alternate angles. It was in the car as I sort of pulled up in the house.
Yeah.
And they were saying on the radio, Nathan Blake was saying on the radio, he's got to score. Like, I thought it was one of them where it's actually a bit more difficult than it looks. But at this level, that's the type of chance you've got to take in it.
You do. Yeah, that changes games. Got to take it. John James had a couple of long shots, didn't he? Great save by Darlow on the opposite side of things with that half volley. I thought that was an excellent save. I mean, I think Ward probably still makes it, but regardless, I won't take that away from him. It was a good save. I thought he came out and commanded his box pretty well. And a couple of times he had to do a few run outs and cleared the ball fine enough. There was a few where I thought, if he gets this wrong here, they could just chip him or whatever. But no, he was clean with it. I thought he was good. He was flawless without having to do a ton,
Question for you there then. Tommy Tornado says, welcome to the show, Tommy, by the way. He says, "Hi, Harry, do you overall think it's a good result?" I don't. Interesting. Because I think before the game, most people probably, if they're honest, would have probably taken a point, but we're all greedy and we felt like we could go and win it.
We're unbeaten. Why shouldn't we,
Yeah, of course, 100%. Yeah. And like I said yesterday, that's a testament to what Bellamy has built in a short space of time, that the standards have risen so much. I would say, my expectation before the game, it's not a good result. However, I also think if you're 1-0 down after 94 minutes and there's only 4 minutes injury time and you get something out of that game, then you've got to take the positives from it. And ultimately, we dominated the game. So you can go away and say, right, there's things we need to work on. But on the whole, it was pretty good. On the whole.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough because we concede so late, we score so late. So it skews how the game kind of went, doesn't it? Because we battered them like we did. Outside of that one save that Darlow made, they didn't have a sniff really. Although they huffed and puffed, but Bardi, their captain, was really tricky. The number 10, he shifts it really well and gets crosses into the box. But outside of that, I thought we cleared our lines very well. Like there was not a moment where I was like, oh my God, these are going to score here, because it was relentless. It was never relentless. It was just patches where you do sit in. You don't always attack. You can't. It's impossible, right? Like at any team, any level. So I thought
they're
I thought we
7 unbeaten.
absolutely dominated it.
They're
Yeah,
7,
they're
and
no
they've
mugs,
beaten
mate.
Germany, the England, Italy. They're not,
You can see how they get results. Put it that way.
it's not like a group of or a bunch of sort of part-time footballers who are, got another job. These are guys who are playing Champions League football and Europa League football, and they're decent footballers. Like, it's not what it was 15, 20 years ago.
No.
And ultimately, it was always, they had the emotion of obviously the tragedy which has happened out in the North Macedonia recently as well. That always brings like an additional bit of motivation and emotion to the occasion. So they were always going to fight and do everything they could to get something from the game. And like I said, I think I said to you over text, what they did very well is second half, every time Wales started to get on top, someone would go down injured or they would delay the game. And that kind of broke it up. And you could see that their plan was to keep it at 0-0, keep it level, and then with 10 minutes to go, throw bodies forward. Because as soon as that 80-minute mark came, suddenly they had 4 or 5 players committed up front. And that was clearly the plan. They get the goal. And do you know, by the way, just before the goal, I want to say, the referee gives a goal kick and then changes his mind. Not a fan of that at all, mate. Because the linesman who's told him it's a corner can't see as well as what he could see. Like, the ref had a real good view of it. He was in the box and he said goal kick, and then the linesman's obviously got in his ear and said, "Oh, I think that's a corner," because they complained. And it might have been a corner, I don't know. But I think the ref, like, if they scored directly from the corner, I think then, but they scored from like the second or third phase from it, obviously, so it's kind of takes it out of it a little bit. But if it's a goal kick, Wales punted up the field and it's away from the goal, and Joe Allen doesn't get the ball on the edge of his box. I do feel sorry for Joe Allen. He's getting dogs abuse on social media and people saying he's finished and that. And look, at the end of the day, Joe Allen's a Welsh legend. I don't care what anyone says. He, he's part of that 2016 group. I think he's going to do a tremendous job helping, like, Kai Andrews is his mentor. But should he be, playing for Wales now in 2025? Probably not. If I were being honest, I could understand today. I would have understood if he had come on with 70 minutes gone, because I felt like he could have given us a bit of control in a game that was end to end. But like, I don't get it at all. Like, for 8 minutes, and it's not anything against Joe. It was just the pace of the game. It didn't understand bringing him on. And unfortunately, it could have been anyone who made that pass, but it is him. So it stands out more, because then you look at it and you think, I'd be really interested to know how many fouls he gave away in the short time he was on the pitch, because it felt like he gave 3 away in dangerous areas where they could just chuck it in the box. But I might be incorrect with that. It's just like you say, you get that feeling, don't you?
Like I told you, I was in the shower towards the end of the game, so I literally missed the last 2 goals. I've seen them back, but I didn't watch like the sequences. I think
I
didn't have pain. No,
seeing it, and then the joy of.
So Joe Allen, he only gave away 1 foul apparently, according to SofaScore, which is obviously.
It's just like I said, I wasn't sure. It felt like he gave away a couple on the right wing, but actually I think Ben Davies might have been one of them. And
he gave away a couple. It's nothing. And people are saying Cardiff Swansea in the chat. It's nothing to do with Cardiff and Swansea at all. Obviously, it might. Tommy's saying it is on social media.
On social media, people there's been a bit of that all weekend, and I think it's frustrating because, like, over the last, since Gary Speed was in charge, really, the Welsh stuff has been so much more positive. Like, you felt like you could, this is don't get me wrong, right? This is a Cardiff channel. But when we do the Wales stuff, we just want Wales fans to come and chat about Wales, and like, that's why I was trying to kind of like word in my criticisms of Connor Roberts and Cullen the other day. Like, I was trying to word them in a way where I was not just having a go at the Swansea players or the ex-Swansea players, because it wasn't that they were Swansea or ex-Swansea. It was that I felt there was a genuine problem with Cullen's technique on the ball. It was slow and it causing us an issue, and his timing of his runs. And Connor Roberts' passing was letting him down in the final third. Like, I stand by that. I don't think that's
objective. There's no bias in that. I'm sorry, mate. Like that, I don't think you got anything wrong there. I was just thinking then, like, looking back around like probably from half time to about 65th minute, maybe even 70th, the game was so open looking back. Like, it was literally like a ping pong game. Yeah. Like, it was one of those where I was like, lads, we need to chill out here. Like, one of the teams needs to chill out. Because,
look after the ball, mate. That's what I was saying to you about yesterday.
It was weird.
Why
it happened early.
Like Tom Lawrence, mate, I would have understood. A bit younger, get about, looks after the ball. I felt like I do understand the thinking of bringing Joe Allen on. Not at that time, but we needed probably 70, 75 minutes. I do feel like we needed someone in there to get on the ball and just slow it down a bit, get hold of it, and then be patient and work those wide areas and break the lines that way, because then you can get your Sorba Thomases and your Rabbies and your people in and on the ball in the right areas. You know, Rabbi Matondo, the first thing he did when first time he touched the ball, he tried to drive at the fullback, and he has a bit of a heavy touch and he kind of loses it. But you could see that that's what he was going to try and do. And then we didn't get a ball to him again for, one reason or another. So it's one of them where you're like, there's a lot of positives, but
I think
you've still got to tweak a few things.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'm like sort of taking from both games in a negative sense, but sort of spinning in a positive one, is that the amount of crosses we put into that box where we didn't have a 6'6" guy in there, and we did for like the last 10 minutes, let's say,
and we didn't put any
is encouraging.
Come on,
I know, but
frustration, isn't it? Where before we came on, we're putting crosses in,
balls in to no one really. Like, Brennan ain't going to win headers for against people. No one is. No one's tall in that front four. So like, I just whether we don't know whether Kiefer was fit or not to play the 90, but let's just argue he wasn't. So we can't be too critical on that over the two games. But in the next games, like I think I want to see him play both, mate. I think I do. I think we need a presence.
Improved lots as well.
Yeah, and even
I don't
so,
want to see him 40.
Yeah, we don't want him deep.
Goal.
Not so really. No, at one point. He was so deep for some of them. Yeah, he won a couple of free kicks and whatever. But I just think, like, he's such a threat, mate.
Mm-hmm. Especially when we're working the ball like we are down those sort of wide flanks. And also it's like we're working the ball well into the wide areas. It gives you an extra threat and defense on the set pieces. But his link-up play brings in Jordan James's late runs, brings in whoever's in the 10, whether it's Brooks or Wilson or Cullen or whoever.
He's not as if he's slow, mate, for a 6'6" guy. Like, he can move.
Yeah, he can. He's decent, mate.
Like, he's not Brennan Johnson,
by the way, as well. Like, if you look at his record, he scores goals everywhere he goes. I don't think he's fit.
No, I know, and that's the disappointing thing, because we've got so many people that, like, in that back, the four behind him, even your Nikos, and we've got so many good deliveries of the ball, mate. Even Jordan James, we could go even further back. It doesn't even have to be a Dan James's, Sorbers, Harry Wilson's, Brooks. It's actually ridiculous. Like, the amount of quality we've got as far as deliveries go, not even just off set pieces, off open play. We need a legit number 9 to be there. It's obvious that Brennan isn't that for us. And that's just, it is what it is. I know we're trying to fit him into the team, and I get it. He's playing Premier League football, and I'm a big fan of Brennan. But he's not a good player as a 9 when he's up against North Macedonian centre-halves who have we're in a low block half the time. Kazakhstani centre-halves who are in a low block half the time. It ain't going to work. It's only going to work against like a Belgium, because Belgium are going to be in our half for a lot of the game. And they think they're playing around us, and then we go, boom, all right, well, we'll just chop it over the top, and he'll just run past, Wout Feist or whoever it is, and fucking just burns in for pain and scores. That's Brennan Johnson. Counter-attack football going into space.
Yeah, I think against Belgium, we will end up playing like a 5-3-2 almost, and I think we'll play either Dan James or Brennan up front with Kiefer Moore. And we'll try and get him on the break, but also then you have the link-up play and the hold-up play of Kiefer Moore. But was there anyone over these two games, mate, where they stood out and you think they've done themselves a little bit of good, or anyone who maybe has done himself a bit of harm in terms of like selection and going forward and stuff like that?
I mean, star man has to be Sorba Thomas. Not unfortunately, but he has to be, right? He's played basically 290 minutes. He's had a big effect on the first game with the 2 assists. Okay, could have probably won us the game today, but didn't. But I think he offered a lot as far as stretching the game goes on that left and the understanding between him and Jordan James. I think over the 2 games, I don't need Nico goes without saying. I don't need to really blow smoke up Nico's ass, really. I think I'm not impressed because I expect it, because that's how good he is, right? Sorba's not playing in the Premier League. Nico is week in, week out. Sorba Thomas, for me, is the one that stands out from like I didn't expect it sort of standpoint. The one that maybe, didn't give the best account of himself. I mean, I think it's harsh to do that to Brennan, because I think he's been led down by his, like, where he's being played. Is that a scapegoat answer? I don't know. I don't want to put Brennan as that player. Mate, honestly, I don't really know, because Dan James had a stormer first game. He was quiet yesterday. I don't know. You can't say Brooks, he scored today. So it's like, who really gets that sort of wooden spoon sort of award? I don't think anyone does, mate, honestly.
So let me think. I think, Jordan James, Nico Williams stood out. I think Jordan James made a point in that.
Yeah.
He's not one you should be leaving on the bench. I don't think now, like the last couple of, like the Nations League and Saturday, they've kind of dripped him in and out. For me, he's probably the first name or the second name on the team sheet after Ben Davis. If everyone's fit, your Harry Wilsons, your Nikos, they're all in there. Jordan James. My thing with Brennan is I feel a little bit sorry for him, because I think he's got a lot of qualities that Bellamy probably sees and other people see. And I think I see that in the future, he'll be a number 9. But I think he's one of them who's going to be best in his earlier years out wide. And I think he does better for his club off the left or the right. And I think tonight you saw straight away, as soon as he went on the left, all of a sudden he was getting on the ball in the box, beating a man, getting a pass or a pullback. And he just looked, he's like almost like, he wasn't sulking. So I'm not saying he was sulking, but it's almost like when he was up front, he was a bit frustrated. And then as soon as he got to the position he's much more comfortable with, it was like second nature, and he came alive and became the player that we know he can be. I think he's a number 9 for Wales at the moment that you could use in certain games.
Yeah.
There's pointless playing him against the low block, because if we go and play Liechtenstein in a few weeks, there's no point playing Brennan through the middle, because they're going to sit so deep. He's not going to have any room to run in behind. That's a game where you've got to play Kiefer Moore, because you're going to need someone to put themselves about and hold the ball up and then get runners off them, because they're going to sit deep.
Yep.
However, with the issues that Daniel James has with final ball, there's maybe an opportunity there where you can say, right, Dan, you're going to come off the bench, because him off the bench with his pace is electric, isn't it? So, that gives you an option. I think Sorba Thomas has nailed down the left, if I'm honest.
Probably.
So maybe Brennan can play on the other wing. You have to make a decision, I guess, between Brennan and Daniel James, who's going to play. For me, if they're both fit and firing, I'm probably going to go with Brennan, because I think he's a better footballer. But on current form for Wales, Daniel James is streets ahead. So it's one of those difficult ones. I don't want to talk about England, but like Gareth Southgate suffered with it for years, because he would pick people who weren't performing for their club, but he would pick people he trusted and that had performed for him for England. So you ended up with a lot of players who maybe weren't playing for their club or are in poor form for their club. They come to England and they do fine and they do well and they do great because he trusted them and they had good international form. So, Brennan Johnson's got to transfer his club form to international level, but so has Daniel James, because as dangerous as Daniel James looked over the 2 games, 1 out of 12 crosses on Saturday. I said it yesterday, mate. That's just not good enough.
No, it's not. It's not. I agree.
It's just not. Like, for every bit of positivity that he brought in, driving forward, and that's just my favorite part of football is a winger isolating a fullback and using his skill and pace to beat the man.
Yeah,
but you can't ignore that stat. You just can't. So it is a tricky one.
It is. It's tough, mate, because he's just got so much raw pace, so much energy, and so much 1v1 ability, which, I think I mentioned it yesterday. It's quite rare at international level. You look at their teammate, they don't have much legs anywhere, and it's tough to go and win football games without legs these days. Anyway, we've got an abundance of it. It just comes with the unfortunate sort of downside of technically, final ball wise, it just ain't normally there. Like if you could combine Harry Wilson's technique with Dan James's pace, right? You've got you've got Gareth Bale, basically. 5'6" Gareth Bale.
Yeah, and I think it's harsh, isn't it? Because you look at who Daniel James is going to be compared to historically, and you're looking at your Giggses, your Bellamy's, your Bales. Like
he's basically Aaron Lennon without Aaron Lennon.
Those three players that I just named, who are like former Wales wingers,
right?
Are like
way better than
literally the tip top of football,
right?
Maybe Bellamy, I suppose, didn't quite get to the very, very, very top, but like Giggs is one of the best Premier League players ever played. Bale is one of the best players that has ever played, and it's like that's what Wales fans are used to seeing on the wing. So I do feel for him and the others in some ways.
Yeah.
But Daniel James has obviously got to take the positives of what he did well and then go away. I'm sure he does as well. I'm sure he works on, his crossing and his final ball, but there's something which needs to be addressed. On the other side of things, mate, there's a few young lads who did their hopes of selection for the first team, no harm whatsoever. Kean Ashford, who was on standby for the first team, scored for the 21s. Isaac Davis is back fit. There's a few others scattered around who didn't make the squad, but maybe, if they can get some form going.
How did the 19s get on after?
1-3-1 against Turkey.
Did they? Oh, wow.
Biancheri scored 2 and
wow.
Isaka got the other one. So that's a great result away home to Turkey to go and win that comfortably is impressive, mate.
Yeah, very impressive, mate. Yeah, Charlie Krul probably. I'd like to see him involved maybe at some point again.
Mate. Owen Beck. There's a few of them knocking on the door. The three which kind of stand out to me is Krul, Beck, and Ashford. They seem like they're right on the brink of the first team squad. So it'll be interesting to see if they can finish the season strong. Yeah, he's been in great form this year, mate. Scoring goals. And the good thing with him is he gives you what he gives you going forward, but he also his defensive work is excellent. He's got he's got a clever habit of he plays like high and wide, and then he'll look like he's out of position, and he's letting the fullback or the midfielder get away from him, and then all of a sudden he'll open up his legs, pinch the ball off him, and then he's got
against Sheffield, didn't he?
So it's one of those, and you've got Kumas, obviously Kai Andrews. There's loads, mate. And look, I don't want to kind of go over the same ground, but I do feel Ruben Colwell should have been in this squad. I just do. Like I compare his form and I look at the games, and I think he would have been perfect for both of these games as well. So that's a little frustration, but it's up to him. I can't remember if I said this to you or someone else, but he's got to get his head down and make himself undeniable now. He's got the rest of the season, 8 games, I think Cardiff have got left. He's got to go and make himself absolutely undeniable. So when they pick the team for the next international break and Bellamy or whoever says, I don't think I'm going to include him, the other coaches or the other people on the selection committee go, no, he's got to play. He's got 4 assists, 5 this, blah, blah, blah. He's played every game. He's been electric. He has to play. He can, even off the bench, I would think he could have started against Kazakhstan and done a real good job, but that's probably my Cardiff head a little bit. But off the bench tonight, for instance, being able to put him in there, someone who can play 8, 6, 10, wing, like he can go around and he can looks after the ball. There's a few of them, mate. There's a few of them.
Yeah. No, there is.
Kumas must feel unlucky, mate. Do you think?
Didn't he get in the squad this time? Like as in tonight?
He was in, and then he didn't make the match day squad.
He didn't make the match day. Got you. Yeah,
but
Ollie Cooper again
for Stoke week in, week out.
I know. Yeah, mate, but it's a good place to be. Like 10 years ago, we didn't have this. It was a drop off after the 11. Never mind the 16. Now there's not a drop off after like the 24. So. We're growing. We're growing as a nation. I think these are good conundrums and problems to have. Absolutely. It's one that the Bellamy will relish. I think you'll love the fact that there's people fighting for positions to be in the squads. Never mind even starting. That just shows you where we're coming on. We're coming on big time, mate. For a small nation in size, we are producing some good footballers. Like I was watching a Scottish podcast earlier, and they were talking about sort of Scotland's results recently. And I know that Scotland have actually, no disrespect, they've been better than Wales over the last few years. Like that's just a fact. As far as like qualifications go and stuff, they've been better than us since like the Page era. I think it's turned again. I think we're gonna have them, because not that there's a battle there, but I was just thinking that they've just got a problem. They can't produce wingers. They've got no wingers outside of Ben Doak. This is just a little side note here, where we have an abundance of wingers. Like we have an abundance of wingers. We have abundance of midfielders. So do they actually. They've got loads of centre mids and loads of left backs, basically, Scotland. They don't produce any centre halves. They don't produce any wingers. They don't even produce many number 9s. We're quite blessed, I would argue, in a way that like we have a little, we have a little bit of everything going on. There might be a few positions so less than others.
Isn't there?
So much depth, mate. It's ridiculous.
And you've
so
got all these exciting young players who you're like, oh, could we get a place for him? Could we get a place for them? So
there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them, isn't there? It's just, can they get a club football? Can they play for their clubs week in, week out, like a Colwell? Can they show us what he can do over a consistent basis? And then, like you said, it's down to Bellamy, at that point, obviously. But you got to give Bellamy no choice other than to pick you, because you've been, undroppable for your club, And we have a lot of fringe players that can do that. It's just they just got to take the opportunity. Sometimes they don't get given it, and I get that. But if you get given it, you got to take it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I thought Rabi Matondo done all right over the 2 games with the little bit of time he got. Like, don't get me wrong, he wasn't like incredible, because he only had like I think 10 minutes probably over the 2 games. But I thought he looked like dangerous enough. Yeah, he just looked sharp and looked pretty direct and dangerous, where you're like, okay, like he might be able to do something if he is given the opportunity.
100%, mate.
I guess we'll finish off, mate. Talk a little bit about some of Craig Bellamy's words after the game. He said, it's a roller coaster of emotions. A game we were in more than in control of than I thought we really would be. Really liked us. Thought we were really good. He said, we knew they'd play for set plays, and we kept giving them free kicks and corners. We make a mistake, they score. But even then, I didn't feel it was over. When I found out the minute we equalised, I thought, wow, what an incredible group, eh? We didn't deserve to get nothing from the game. So no way. He said, I thought North Macedonia would be more on the front foot, but they were 5 at the back. I'll have to go through the game again. My main reaction, probably shock still, but we definitely didn't deserve to lose the game. The fans feel a connection to these players. This result tonight is the long run will give us so much. We didn't accept that losing was meant to be. And you watch Joe Allen's touches after his mistake. His head didn't go down. He keeps being progressive, and it leads to a goal. I'd have liked 6 points. This game didn't work out as hard as I expected it to be. But if you'd offered me 4 points earlier in the week, I don't know. I have a feeling with this group there could be something more coming from them, but I'm quite excited about it. So, like, everyone, it's his honesty, mate. I really like. Yeah. And I can't
disagree with any of it.
Just to add with that, mate, he's spot on about Joe Allen. So I want to kind of circle back to that, because I criticised him. We criticised him unfairly.
Yeah.
After the goal, he did do quite well. He had a couple of little passes which broke lines, not like through balls, but just little balls. And I know you missed that part of the game, but he did have like some little link-up play and some little triangles which he sort of was moving. So that's where his experience comes in, because he doesn't go to pieces and he doesn't think, I just cost the team 3 points. He's thinking, let's go and do it. Let's go get this equalizer. And I thought, that was good. So
100%.
Yeah, he's spot on. Bellamy's so refreshing, mate. Don't like, there's nothing worse than hearing you're the manager of the club or the country that you follow or you support and stuff, and you've just watched the game and it's been absolutely shocking, or it's been amazing, or whatever. It's like, and then you hear the manager speak after the game, and it's like they've watched a different game.
Yeah.
And they like, there's nothing more frustrating, especially if it's been bad.
I know.
And I like that he doesn't mince his words. And I like that he's got the same, it's like he's got the same excitement that we were just talking about, that we've got about this 100%. Group and about the players coming through. So, last minute equalizers, mate. That's a good habit to get into as well, by the way.
100%. Lads in the chat. Oh, 100%. I'll get onto that now. Just saying, lads in the chat asking about Rabi. Rabi's on loan at Hanover right now. So, just he scored on his debut, to be fair. He came off the bench, got a goal. And then, hasn't really done a ton since, to be fair. He started a couple.
Do you know what I think
out.
he should? And again, it might be like a Cardiff bias. I would like to see him go to Cardiff. I would like to see him go to Cardiff rather than Swansea because he's a Cardiff boy. But
yeah,
I would like to see him to go to Cardiff, Swansea, or Wrexham and go and play week in, week out, because I think he would tear it up for all three. Wrexham will most likely be in the Championship next year as well.
True.
I just think he can.
He could kick on, couldn't he? He needs it.
Sorry, I just had a really. This is the message I just received. I won't say who it's from, but it's someone involved in football. They said, "Are we seriously saying Cullen, Broadhead, Allen, Sheenan are all better Welsh midfield options than Ruben Colwell in a 10 or an 8? Crazy." Like, it is what it is. I know that there is a bit of a feeling of that within the media and stuff. But look, it is what it is. He didn't get picked, so you got to get on with it. And like I said, he's got to go and make himself just undeniable. But it just makes me chuckle like when I get messages like that.
No,
I get a lot of unsolicited messages, mate, from different people, like, you know.
It's funny. No, I love what Bellamy said though, there, mate. Like, the big thing for me. This is my question to you. Under Page, we lose that game easy. As in, like,
under Page, that game.
Yeah, if we concede 91st minute. Oh yeah, I know, but let's just say, like, if we did concede 91st, we were hanging on for a draw. We ain't coming back. You know,
not unless you get a penalty or something like
that. No chance. Where under Bellamy, there's just some sort of aura right now, which, you know, we hadn't lost a game or whatever. There was just something in the air that, for whatever reason, means that we continue our unbeaten streak. And don't get me wrong, it'll probably come to an end at some point. And that's fine. I'm not saying we're never going to lose it or draw. Lose a game again. But we don't do that against under Page. There's something more, not more than football, but there's a camaraderie, the just feeling between the fans, the players, the manager, everything together, that it's never over until the legitimate final whistle goes, you know. And that's you can't really buy that. Like, that's something that's kind of deep rooted after playing for a manager for a little bit of time, understanding his principles and philosophies. He's got something special, mate. And I just hope we keep progressing, which I think we will. I have no doubt we will. I just don't want injuries to like we're saying, no Ampadu, no Harry Wilson, like
loads of injuries this year.
Mate, it's a joke how many players we've got injured that are like starting players, you know. That's 20% of our teams injured, basically.
Yeah. Let me finish you off with this then, mate. To go about 10 minutes, like bit of a conversation starter, I guess. Would you like? I saw some criticism of Bellamy towards the end of the game before they scored, just basically saying he's trying to be too clever. No, I can't remember what the word was. Too clever with his selections, in terms of he's trying to like think so much out of the box that maybe sometimes you just need to put round pegs in round holes and do what's working. So how do you feel about that? Because I think at home, what he's doing is working real well. Do you think there's an argument to be said, replicate that away from home, but with a little bit more stability in the midfield? Or do you like the fact that he is quite flexible and adaptable with how he goes home, away, and who your opposition is and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't think I can fault him, mate, to be honest. The system, I don't think you can really blame the system. What he's like, there's only so much he can do as a manager. All he can do is put 11 players out there and hope that they, sort of relay the message that he's given them verbally, on the pitch physically at the end of the day. And there's only so much you can do. And I think from a build-up play, like the amount of free men we have in midfield, mate, when like Jordan James, and it was obviously Broadhead tonight, Sheehan was getting marked by their number 10, which makes sense. And then it was like Jordan James would drop in, then he would go deep. No one was really being able to mark him because he's just so athletic and just very clever at finding space. A bit of the same goes for Broadhead. I was just really impressed with, and then obviously Nico would come inside, and sometimes Ben would come inside as the extra man in midfield. Hey, we're doing things like we're playing like very modern football. Yeah. We are like it's very attractive. It's unbelievable. Imagine that, the page.
People forget how bad it was at times, and
it
was difficult to watch, mate. And the thing is, like for me, like I said, the rotations and everything, you can see what the team's trying to do. Most importantly, they all know what they're doing. Like, and a shout out to the coaches and Craig Bellamy, because they only get a couple of days. And then once you play the first game, you've got even less time to prepare. And to be able to get them tactically so in tune with each other, I think is massive. And I think, look, it's easy to forget. Yes, you know, he's got to take responsibility. We brought on Joe Allen. Joe Allen makes the mistake and he probably struggled a little bit. But we also dominated that game and should have probably won 2 or 3-1 in the end. Like, if we take our chances, we win that comfortably. So he can't take the chances. He physically can't stop Joe Allen passing that ball to the striker. Just like he can't physically make us take the chances. And he can't physically stop us trying to force it a little bit in the final third. So what you can kind of analyze from a managerial point of view is the starting lineup, the system. Is it working? Are the tactics working? Do you look like scoring? Well, yeah, we're creating loads of chances. We look comfortable on the ball. We're dominating possession. The personnel issues, should we say, from the weekend where we thought, oh, there could be a bit of a problem against a better team. Will he address them? So I don't know what more people would ask of him, you know? And to make it better, he's honest.
Yeah, which not many managers are in this day and age. Players aren't. I got a wicked little stat for you, okay? I've just gone through the last week played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, okay? We have managed to create 3 or more big chances in every game, bar the Turkey away game where we didn't create any, okay? They created 3 themselves. We created none. Obviously got 0-0. So let's just wipe that one away. Out of 7 games, we have created 3 or more chances, 3 to 4. No, we've never created 5. 3 to 4 in every game, mates. That is huge, by the way. Like, obviously, it goes off XG and whatever. 3 or 4 a game is serious. That means, like, you probably should be scoring 1 or 2 every game. Which, you know, first game it was 0-0. We did score 2 in the second. We scored 2 in the third against Iceland. We scored 1 against Montenegro, where we created 4 big chances, like a 1 in 4, let's call it. We did score 4 at home to Iceland, although there was only 3 big chances in the game, which means one of the goals was a bit of a freak goal. I think there was Harry Wilson's. And then, Kazakhstan, 3 big chances created. We did score 3 goals. And then today, 3 big chances away to North Macedonia. They had 1 big chance, you know. And I don't want to just label, like, just sort of underline that as like the only reason why I think everything's good and amazing. But like, that's really consistent, mate. Like, that's the stats that Bellamy will be looking at with his coaches and going, we're doing it. Like, we're doing everything you can do from goalkeeper to forward. We're just not scoring maybe as many as we'd want overall. And that just comes down to, like you said, sometimes just a lack of quality, mate. Hardest thing in the world to do, or the hardest thing in football to do is what? Put the ball in the fucking back of the net, you know? And as much as we want to complicate football, low block this and, you know, 8 and this pivot, it's just all about scoring goals at the end of the day and conceding less, you know, the other end. And it's forever going to be the hardest thing to do. And I think we'll get progressively better because hopefully those averages from 3 to 4 will go to 4 to 5. And then maybe 5 to 6 in certain games, which, you know, those are the games where you expect them to score 3 or 4 goals, you know. And that consistency has really, really impressed me. I've only just looked at that now. Outside of that Turkey game, 3 to 4 big chances every single game. It's interesting, mate. It's a good little run-in, you know. It really is. Liechtenstein next, Belgium after that. I'm not saying we're going to go create 3 or 4 big chances away to Belgium, but, you know, it's one of them where
they don't need to fear Belgium, do they?
No, not at all. Not Belgium's current state. Not at all.
So here's a question for you then, mate. We're creating the chances. Defensively, we look solid. Midfield look good. Got options in both areas. Wide, fine. Centre forward, we haven't got like that prolific scorer. You know, Kiefer Moore will pitch in with goals if he's there, but he's not always suited to the way we want to play. Harris works hard, but is not prolific. Brennan Johnson looks more comfortable wide. Cullen is more of a sort of second striker or a 10. So, is there potentially an opportunity where, you know, Kumas looks more like a wide player? Is there an opportunity where a Biancheri or one of the 21s strikers can really get hold of it and get a chance and then get a couple of goals early in their career and just go on from there and take it.
Yeah, I think that's eventually probably going to be the case. I think Biancheri seems like the most natural finisher that we have in the system, without me knowing too many of the under-21s off the top of my head. Obviously, he's one of the 19s, but you're not in Man United for no reason. You don't get poached by City, from Cardiff at a young age for that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he develops. It's very hard to see that happen in the near future, because there is just there is, like you mentioned, the first team players there. It's very hard to displace them overnight. I think over time, that will deteriorate, and Kiefer will retire and whatever. But I do think Kiefer is
fit as well, as I suppose, keeping those like a Kiefer Moore and Harris.
Always fit.
You never know when those opportunities may arise.
Mm-hmm. Keep Kiefer fit. We got half a chance, I'm telling you, because we got such a good 10 around him. It doesn't even have to be the same 10 every time, obviously, with how Bellamy likes to do home and away splits team-wise. I just really think things need to work through or eventually end up at Kiefer's head or Kiefer's wherever, we just don't have Brennan isn't that, and neither is Sparky, unfortunately. They'll work hard, but do we need a bit more? Probably, because at the same time, though, we do have goals from everywhere, which is a really good thing to have, quality to have of a team. We're not just relying on a 9. The game's evolved now. Wingers score goals, wingers get assists, 10s get goals, 8s get goals. That's just the game we play now. But unfortunately, we still need a 9, mate. We do. We need a vocal point up there. Maybe not even, obviously, for his goals, but it's more his presence. We saw it defending corners today. I know he ended up getting the flick on for the winning goal, but even in our own box, I think he was one of the first. Obviously him at front post. It's very hard to beat a 6'6" front poster. Not many people got delivery that can loop over that. It's just impossible. It's just physics. Very hard to do unless you're just looping them back post, which is probably fine a lot of the times to defend. So I just think he offers so much, and I don't know, maybe Bellamy comes out and says, he wasn't fit enough to start, and that would make a lot of sense to me. But if he was fit, I would be a little bit disappointed to learn that he didn't start either of these games, just from a personnel standpoint, because I think he's everything we need.
Interesting, mate. Interesting. Just looking at some of the 21 strikers, there's a lad in there in the Wales under 21s called Josh Farrell, right?
Okay.
He's actually Spanish born, and he's made 2 appearances for the 21s and scored 2 goals in those 2 appearances. He plays for Gimnastica Cervenia, who I have no idea where they're from. I'm assuming Spain. Just gonna have a look now.
I don't know. Is it how's it spelled? With a G?
Yeah.
Gimnasia from Argentina.
Is it?
Well, I know that there's a Gimnasia that play. They're in Argentina. I just don't know if there's.
Just trying to find out now.
What's the badge look like? Is it like white
a red
and green?
Blue thing?
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you now. I just got to get off this website because it's full of ads and it's just slowing everything down.
What's that boy's name? Sorry,
Spanish second division. Josh Farrell.
Okay, Josh Farrell.
Spanish second division looks like.
Yeah, I got you.
He's come in, scored a couple of goals. Looks like he's got a fairly good record, generally speaking, as well. So he might be one that they look at. I just think anyone who's in the 21s and performing, I don't think Bellamy will be afraid to promote them up.
No,
so he's played 7 games for Gimnastica, scored 2 goals. So he's clearly got something about him from a goal scoring point of view. Now I have no idea about his general play and things like that, but that's an interesting one because it looks like he's come into the 21s at quite a late age.
Yeah, he played in a friendly in last year. Sorry, just before. In October, but it didn't look like he was involved in this camp for whatever reason.
Yeah, not sure. I'll have to
weirdly, but he's only 21 though. Yeah, 21 on the dot.
So, but yeah, he was just someone whose name come up then when I was having a little Google. It's one of them, mate, isn't it? I just think we just need to. I thought we tried to force it a little bit today in the second half, and maybe didn't have the same. If we'd had the same patience in the build-up that we had on Saturday, I feel like we'd have got the win quite comfortably. It was just we tried to force it a little bit, and I think, look, Bellamy and his team will watch it back, and they'll look. And that's the sort of thing they'll pick up on. They'll pick up on the things they got wrong or they think they got wrong. They'll pick up on what Wales could have done better. But
100%.
overall, I thought it was a very good performance. And to be honest with you, yeah, it's frustrating because you feel like the 3 points was there for the taking.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're 1-0 down after 94 minutes and there's 4 minutes injury time, you've got to just take it, haven't you? Like, I was not happy, mate. When I was texting you on 94 minutes, I was super pissed off.
I know.
And there's other stuff with that as well. Like, it wasn't just the football, but like I was fuming.
No.
And that last minute goal just gives you like that emotion and that lift. And it was good to see.
It was.
Right. Round us off, mate. 2 games, 4 points, start to the World Cup, first World Cup qualifier under Craig Bellamy. Give us your thoughts and your overall closing feelings.
I think we're just leading on from the last 6 games that we had, 5 months ago, mate. To be honest, I don't think the trajectory's changed. I don't think it's quickened up in any way. I don't think it's slowed down. I think it's right on track with where I kind of expected us to be. I know I probably said I probably wanted 6 points, but I think 4 is more than enough in some ways. I know it's not ideal, but it's more ideal than 3, and it's way more ideal than 0, let's say. I just think we're on track, mate, considering the couple of really bad injuries you had at stupid times with Wilson and Ampadu.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it completely changes today, but ultimately it might do, because at the same time, Sheehan probably comes on for Ampadu, or Sheehan comes on for Jordan James, not Joe Allen, and I know that's easy to say, but you know what I mean. So I don't know. I think we're very much on track, mate. I'm just interested to see, if Wilson can get back fit before this next round of games. And I think he will. I think it was obviously an ankle injury. He had a bit of surgery on it, didn't he?
When is the
I think we're on track. I think it's June, early June. I think he should be back. I'd be very shocked.
Sorting out a live event for that international break. Ooh. Better get my arse in gear. I
think we're on track, mate. That's all I can say. I don't think there's anything out of line. I'm very happy with how things are going. With little tweaks, we're still not getting the best out of Brennan. That's a work in progress. But other than that, mate, I defensively we look super solid. Thankfully, we've got a goalkeeper now. Not to say he's a world beater, because he's clearly not right. But if he's going to put up performances like that, not to say he was like massively needed, but when he stepped up, and that's all I can ask of a goalie, because he ain't gonna have much to do in many games. I know that's crazy to say as a Welsh keeper, right? But like that's the luxury we're playing with. We're playing with a wicked back 4, back 5, mate, week in, week out. It's impressive.
So our next game is home to Liechtenstein.
Yeah, you could have a cigar in and should be fine. I know it's away to Belgium next. Yeah,
and then Belgium, and then you go to Belgium. So it's Friday and Monday. You go to Belgium on the Monday, but if you can get, hopefully Wilson's back. The problem with him, I think, is I'm not sure. I'm going to double check. Is he technically out for the season?
No. It was only like 6 to 8 weeks, or 6 to 10 weeks roughly, and that was easy over a month ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's like kind of back running. I don't know, but he shouldn't be like completely out at this point.
I'll tell you what his expected return date is now. Give me a second. Yeah, he's supposed to be back in a couple of weeks. So so that in itself is encouraging, because I think you put him back in, that straight away creates that just links everything together.
Yeah.
In terms of like just anything else, I thought David Brooks should have started today, if I'm honest. Like,
that's maybe the only one. Yeah.
I thought he did enough on Saturday in the first hour to go, he's with no Harry Wilson, he's the one I think links it all together, and just one of them. Mm-hmm. But the under 19s one, Rhys in the chat just asked, under 19s beat Turkey 3-1.
Yeah, great result.
Indeed, mate. So me and you will be back in June, but I think we're going to try and sort something out. I've actually had a really interesting conversation with someone this afternoon, so me and you might be doing something before that.
Nice.
But I just got to work out some bits and pieces for it, and we'll see. I'll tell you now. But yeah, we'll be back for the next international break. I'm back. What day is it? Tuesday. I'm back tomorrow. And I got Don Cowie joining me and a few other guests as well along the way. We'll be talking Cardiff City for the first hour and then Wales for the second hour, live on Cardiff City World and Cymru Sport Radio, of course. And then, we'll prepare for the weekend and the return of Cardiff City and Championship football on the weekend. So make sure you're subscribed, like, hit the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. Make sure you check out Harry's channel at Harry Trades YT or Harry on Wales, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I have just Harry Trades on YouTube, but yeah, Harry Trades YT on the old X, I guess we call it now.
Have you abandoned Harry on Wales channel now then?
I haven't abandoned it, mate, to be fair. Just because we had such a long break on it. It was one of them where it was just nothing to really
There's just nothing to talk
do.
about.
Like, yeah. I don't know. I'll probably kickstart it back up, but it was just a little side project. I had a little, just sort of a euphoria moment. I was like, why don't I make a few Wales videos? But yeah, the thirst for them isn't incredibly, fast. So it's one of them where it's like, do I put too much energy into them, or do I just, do this with you? Where it's a lot more interactive. Yeah, I much prefer this sort of live chat thing and bouncing off the chat and yourself. So
yeah, it's been a lot of fun, mate. I'm glad 100%. I tracked you down and stalked you on the internet now.
I know. I remember that call you gave me. I was in the gym. I still remember now. We had a good long chat, didn't we?
Yeah, it was good, mate. It was very clear from the first phone call that we were going to have a lot of fun doing these anyway.
Oh, 100%.
It was the first time we'd ever spoken, and we were on the phone for about an hour. So
we had so many mutuals in there, wasn't there? Yeah, it was class.
Good stuff, mate. This made me sad now that it's not till June.
Oh, we'll do something in between.
Yeah, we'll make something happen.
We'll do a little like who's fit type of get, who we expecting to start and all that stuff.
I got a plan, mate. I got a plan, which might be quite fun, but we'll see. See if we can make it happen. Right, nice one, mate. Thank you very much for your time, as always. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Make sure you spread the word and all that good stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow. Tidy, but
all the best.
With